So recently I bought some lanterns and I'm just starting to get ready for Chinese New Year. And I am going to be saying Chinese New Year because I celebrate the Chinese version of the Lunar New Year, or the Taiwanese version, I guess, 差不多 as they say. And anyways, I also have to start writing some chunlian. I did write chunlian last year, but I don't think I really talked about what I wrote. At least I didn't do that in great detail. So I'm gonna talk about what I'm gonna write this year, and then also leave some suggestions for you if you want to write your own chunlian. So I'm gonna have to go to the calligraphy store and buy some paper and some ink, I think. Yeah, let's get ready to write some chunlian this year. Weather, despite it being January 13th. And also, I will note that I am very early. Chinese New Year is not until middle of February, I believe, this year. So I'm like a month early, but I want to get a lot of practice with writing chunlian. Here are my neighbor's chunlian. They probably had this up for a long time. Actually, let me show you something really funny here. The chunlian from this neighbor. That's right, it is 2026, by the way. Just so you know. So people do leave these up all the time in Taiwan. Oh, this was also really fun. They did some repainting. And instead of taking the chunlian down, they decided, let's just paint over it. Awesome. Anyways, yeah, that's how Taiwanese people do it. They just leave these up all the time. I like to write new ones every year. I think most people will hang up new ones every year. But yeah, I'm gonna have to go to the store and get these. So let's head on over there. All right, I'm back from the store. This is my little package. So I actually learned a new word today. I didn't know what this was called. I'll show you here. This is used to hold calligraphy ink, liquid ink, not used to grind ink. I'll use liquid ink. And I did not know what it's called. I asked her where the little bowl was in Chinese. I said, 小碗. But she told me this is called a 碟匙. The word that she used sounded to me like she said 碟匙, but I think it's 碟匙. And I think it means the same thing, a little saucer, a little bowl. And it's used for holding calligraphy ink. I've also seen that it can be called a 墨碟. So yeah, that's what this is. So if you want to go buy one of these at a calligraphy shop, you can go ahead and use that word. This is a square, and it will be hung like this. Ooh, and I actually have one in the background right here. In Chinese, this is called a doufang, I believe. And yeah, it's just for one character. It can be hung upside down or right side up. And that is because the Chinese word for arrive and upside down have similar pronunciation. So what they're asking for is the character that's written on there to come their way, to arrive. So for example, this is the character for spring that's upside down. So Chinese New Year is also called Spring Festival because it's welcoming in the spring. So spring is arriving. The character down here below means blessing. So this one is actually held or mounted the correct way, right side up. But if you put it upside down, it's the same thing. It's welcoming blessings or good luck, fortune. This is 4-character paper. Let me get one sheet out so I can show you. Another distinction that she made when she was talking to me about these, the owner of the shop there, or worker, said that these can be used any year. And that's because sometimes you'll see these with symbols of an animal. And those are only meant to be used on a certain year. I actually have an example of those I can show you in a second as well. This is 4 characters, for 4 characters. So you can see there's 4 rings here. And you write a character on each and every one of those. They can be hung this way at the top of a door, or like this, pretty much anywhere. Usually it's going to be seen top down like this, 4 characters. So I'll show you some phrases that you can use for those later. You notice that this one has fish on them. Fish are also associated with the new year, and that's because the character for fish also sounds like the character for prosperity, I believe. The 4-character ones are called 春条, by the way. Those are 春条. This is for chunlian. These are the most famous ones. These are for chunlian. They have 7 characters on them, or space for 7 characters on them. And these can be hung beside a door. Usually it's 2 together, so that's why in English they're called spring couplets. Sometimes they will have a 3rd one on top of the door as well. And again, sometimes the 3rd one on top of the door can be just 4 characters. Okay, I actually have some left over from a few years ago that I used for practice, and they have rabbits on them. So these will not be good for another, I think it's 8 years. I'll have to do the math on that. I forget how many years left it is for a rabbit year, but the year of the rabbit was in 2023, so maybe 9 years. So these will not be able to be used again for 9 more years, but I use them for practice because of that. So I'm going to be practicing with these now, or not now, but when I do decide to do calligraphy, which will be soon, maybe tonight. And when I feel like I've got a steady enough hand, I will do it on the real thing. This is practice paper. So this is space for 6 characters. These grids are supposed to help you with the proportions of the character to make them look nice and keep everything centered as well. So I'm gonna have to practice a lot because I haven't done Chinese calligraphy in a long time, probably since last Chinese New Year. So yeah, I'll have to practice a lot, and I'll show clips of that. So yeah, in Lunar New Year, I think not just Chinese New Year, I think they're all going to be the same order. They have 12 animals in total. And yeah, this year will be the year of the horse. My Chinese zodiac animal is the rabbit. So you could tell how old somebody is based off of their Chinese zodiac animal because there are 12. So in 2023, there was the year of the rabbit. So that means I was turning 24 in 2023. Unless somebody happens to look like they could be 12 years younger than they actually are, usually you can guess about how old somebody is based off of that. So if you're ever in China, you don't want to ask how old somebody is and you want to be polite, you can ask, what is your Chinese zodiac animal? Cool, well, I'm gonna clean up here, get everything organized. Oh, I have 2 more things to show you. This is what liquid ink looks like in Taiwan for calligraphy. They also sometimes come in bottles like this with a lid like this. This is gold ink, so it should look like this when we're finished. And this is black ink, so it should look like the ink that was on my lantern that I showed earlier. Cool, so I'm going to get organized, clean up a little bit, and make a space for me to practice, and then I will talk about the different kinds of chunlian that you can write for this year. Right, so it's been a day or two, and I'm gonna start practicing now on the practice paper, and then I will start with the 1 character sheets, like the ones that I showed before, and then we'll try to do at least 1 chuntiao, the 4 character one, and at least 1 set of chunlian, the 7 character one. I do want to talk about some suggestions for you if you want to write your own before I do that practice. The first thing is with doufang. There are a few common characters that you can do. The one that I showed earlier, the 2 that I showed earlier are chun, which means spring. That's this character here. And the word fu, which is this character here. That's the one that's most commonly seen turned upside down. Another common one is man, which kind of means full or prosperous. Another one would be cai, which also is like money. Another interesting thing you might see, and I'll show these here, I won't be doing any of these because I don't think I'm skilled enough to, but sometimes they'll have multiple characters put into one. If you're feeling bold enough, go ahead and try one of these out, but I'm not experimental enough to do that. The reason it's 4 characters put into one is because in Chinese we have these things called chengyu, which are kind of like Chinese idioms, and they're traditionally 4 characters. So it's basically a chengyu that's kind of combined into 1 character. So I've also found some spring couplets that are just for, you know, the year of the horse. And I'll leave a link down below or a list down below. I might type them out and translate them myself. But I will provide some of those for you. I'm going to do one that you can do any year, not just the year of the horse. It's a really basic one. It's迎春接福喜临門, which means like welcome in the spring festival and receive blessings and joy at your door. And then 吉祥如意贺新岁, which is kind of like again just asking for happiness and good fortune in the new year. I'll also provide a list of a few generic ones that you can use for any year, and I'll also try to separate them by purpose. If you're a student, you might want a certain one. If there's something specific that you want in the new year, you might want a certain one. So yeah, I'll leave a list of a few that I like and their translations below. And then chuntiao, there's so many common ones that you can use. Well, the easiest one for a Chinese learner might be 新年快乐, which is just 4 characters that mean Happy New Year. And another really common one that you might see is 恭喜发财, which is also something that children will say to their elders when they want to receive the red envelopes with money in them. Something you'll hear a lot during Chinese New Year. It also just means like wishing you to be happy and prosperous and wishing for your wealth, things like that. Cool, so like I said, I'm gonna write one of each of those, a doufang, a chuntiao, and a pair of chunlian. And before that, I'm gonna practice though. And I will use probably the gold ink on the doufang. I might do more with that later on my own time, and I'll post results on Instagram. So if you wanna see more of these, feel free to follow me on my socials in the description below. But yeah, let's go ahead and get to practicing. Okay, well, I have a few brushes here, and I haven't practiced calligraphy in so long, I don't even really remember which brush I should choose. I remember this one was decent, so maybe I'll start with this. And I have 2 new brushes, so I'll try this with the gold ink in a second. Yeah, I will say definitely shake well if you're using this liquid gold ink. I think it needs to be mixed before you open. Sometimes it can come out watery if you don't do that. All right, well, let's open this. This is what it'll look like. And let's pour some of our ink in there. You're not really supposed to get the whole brush soaked. Just enough to saturate the tip is fine. So last time I used this, I probably washed it in there or I used way too much ink. It should come to a point on its own. Let's see though, because I haven't used this in a while. So there you go. You can see it came back to a point, whereas it starts off kind of fuzzy like this. These are not the cleanest or most well-maintained brushes, or even the most expensive, but they should work. Okay, I'm just gonna write some basic characters for practice right now, and then yeah, I'll get back onto the actual paper. Okay, so you can see I'm struggling with proportions here. I went over the line. Let's see if I can refine that a bit. Oh, it's been so long since I've done this. I'm also not looking at any references, which does not help. That's a bit better. Actually, it's a lot better, I think. Kind of looks like an elementary school student is writing this. I'm not the best at calligraphy, but I have fun. I think this is a rare situation where I was best the first time. I think this looks decent, not great, but I got progressively worse. Well, I think the middle one is actually the worst. But anyways, I'm going to continue to practice. I might do a little time lapse or something. I'm not sure, but yeah, I'm going to continue to practice and then get ready for these, and I'll show myself writing those as well. Okay, so these are the doufang. There is a right side up actually, because these are Chinese characters. I'll try to show a close-up here. This is the character Ji, which means good luck. Xiang, also Jixiang, lucky. I can't read the other side. Maybe Shou is part of that. I'm not exactly sure. But anyways, we're going to write Chun. I'm just going to do 1. Now, the hard part about this is that it's not exactly the same size as the sheet that I just did, but it's, you know, more or less the same size character that I want to have. You can see if I overlap it here, it's kind of want to place that exactly right here. I could do a little bit bigger, I think, but we're going to try to maintain size. I am going to use black, I guess. Maybe I'll do it 1 in gold here in a second. Maybe the paper helped, but I think that was one of the better ones that I did actually. You can see one thing that's cool about this is if you use black ink, the gold will actually shine through. The ink will not completely cover that gold. So it's kind of cool. So you can hang this like this or upside down like this. Both are okay. Again, not a perfect chun, but good enough for me. I hate to disappoint, but I think I'm going to use gold later. I will show those at the end, like an image, but probably not a video of them. You can also check my Instagram, but I already have this full of black ink and I want to continue to write, and I only have 1 of these, so I'm not going to go clean it just to try gold right now. But yeah, but they are just going to turn out basically like the ones that I showed earlier in the YouTube video. So not super interesting, but if you want to see that really bad, check out my Instagram. I am going to do a chuntiao now. I'm not going to practice. I have so many of these. I think it's okay if I don't. hopefully this turns out all right. There is also a right side up on these. You can see the fish. They are facing up. So I'm just going to write 新年快乐. Not that I don't know how to write it, but having proportions in front of my face while I'm doing this does help a little bit. And hopefully this turns out okay. So this is 新. 新 means new. The next character we'll write is 年. This is 年. That means year. Kind of wrote it a little bit low, but that's okay. This next character is 快. 快. Not my best 快. 快 actually means fast on its own. But together with this next character, 快乐 means happy. And I write kind of fast. I feel like I write better when I write fast. 乐. That's my first attempt. 新年快乐, 新年快乐. That means Happy New Year. Very good. All right, let's do the 春条 that I said I was going to write earlier. And I might speed this up because it's pretty fast. Or it's pretty long, sorry. It's going to be 14 characters in total. And I'm also not super confident that I'm going to write this super correctly because I don't have a reference, again, for every character. But yeah, I might speed this up. So anyways, we're going to write 迎春接福喜临门 吉祥如意贺新岁 Okay. All right, so this is what the first section will look like. Long like that. I'm really disappointed in that xi in the middle, but these look okay, not too bad for first attempt, I guess. And I will time lapse for the next one. All right, well, I'm not going to criticize myself too hard here since I haven't done it in so long, but this is my doufang, just to show you again. I really like how the gold shows through. It's pretty cool. Chun. This is my 春条. 新年快乐. The gold also shines through on here, but not as brightly, I guess. 新年快乐. And then my 春条. I kind of lost the sizing on some of them. They got a little bit too big or too small, or too thin or too wide. But again, I think not too bad for my first time in a long time. So I'm going to continue to practice and I'll make these better and better. And I will continue to update them, show new ones on my Instagram. So feel free to follow me on my socials if you want to see more of those. And yeah, good luck writing your own 春条. Remember, I have suggestions in the description box below. So if you want to write your own, you can grab some from there. If not, you can find others online as well. Cool. Well, that's going to be it for me. Finished product pictures coming up in a second. And thanks for watching. See you in the next video. And Happy New Year.